Welcome to Real Estate Investing Live with Brent Daniels, the realest, most enthusiastic real estate investing show ever created. Ever. Look at this. Who else has lasers and all this fog machines? It's bananas. We have a great show. I'm excited about today. Today is about something that I think is very, very critical. It is the first step. It is probably the hardest step in our business, and that is motivation and then consistency. All right. So over the next 2 hours, first I'm going to talk about that. We're going to go over motivation and consistency and really break that down, really look at what goes into all of that. And that's going to be cool. But over the next 2 hours, we're going to be answering your questions. So make sure that you are asking questions in the comments section. Also, make sure that you are squatting up in the comments section. And if there's any properties that you are wondering, is this a deal or not a deal? Make sure that you post it in there and we will break it down on this show. And as an extra bonus for today's show at 11:25 Pacific Standard Time, Todd Toback will be joining us. Are you kidding me? That is my mentor's mentor. That's how exciting it is to have Todd on here. Every time he comes on, he brings extreme value. So let's start breaking this down, because this is critical, right? We can have all of the plans, we can have all of the structure, we can have the blueprint, we can have the map, but without motivation, without the consistency of action, without the consistency of that motivation, it is very difficult to really build a really profitable, really consistent, really predictable business. All right, so let's take a look at this. Matt, will you pull up the 3 keys to success here? Look at this. I love this. And we're going to break each and every single one of these down on the board. But look at this. Look at this little graph here. Is it a graph? What would you call that? A Venn diagram? Venn diagram here. Aspiration is the first one that you see in blue there. Inspiration is the one in yellow. And motivation is the one in red. And look how they all combine into being success. Success is that middle ground. Success is where all of those combine, they mix in, and the fusion of all of them create the success that we're looking for. And it just depends on what our goals are. So let's go to the board. Look at this. Check this out. Aspiration. It starts here, right? This is, you know what this is? This is every time that you're reading the books or you're watching things and you're hearing interviews, people call this the why, right? This is the big why. It all starts with why. And it's true. It all starts with aspiration. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? That's what it starts with. What is the goal? What is the dream? As you're growing up, as you're becoming more mature, as you're in the world, you're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, all of a sudden you start thinking of yourself and you start, who do I want to be? What do I want to become? Right? And all of a sudden you start going and you go, okay, well, what value do I want to provide the world? Because that's really what it is, right? What value, how can I produce value in the world? And this is our purpose. What is the purpose? What is my purpose? Not a passion, but what is my true purpose? What really gets me fired up? What really doesn't tire me out? It actually energizes me. It gives me that energizing enthusiasm. That's what we're talking about. That's the aspiration. That's that thing, that seed in your brain that you're like, I can be that. I can do that. And this is a wild one. Aspiration's wild because there's 4 categories, right? There's relationships, there's health, there's wealth, and then there's spiritual, right? So we're always balancing all of these things as entrepreneurs, as self-employed, as real estate entrepreneurs. We are balancing all of those things all the time, and our goal is to live that balanced life, right? But it has to be for us. This can't be something that somebody tells you, hey, you need to go be like this. You need to, comparing you to somebody else. That's the thief of joy, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. This has to come internal. You have to have this aspiration. Whatever it is, Some people aspire to be musicians. Some people aspire to be business people. Some people aspire to be teachers. Some people aspire to be whatever, a parent, whatever it is. It starts with that. What is the dream? What is the goal? And looking at that with the relationships, with the health, with the wealth, with your spiritually or philosophically, wherever you're standing, right? But who do you want to be? What value do you truly want to bring to your community, right? It starts with the aspiration. And I think that this is really important. This is why everybody anchors you to the why here. And with this, you know what the difficult part about this is you need consistency to be that goal, to be that dream, to achieve that, to be that person. It takes consistency. It's not you're just that person right away, because you got to keep it going. That's when we talk about motivation and consistency, this is going to come full circle, I promise you. But it all starts with the aspiration, that why, and there's different categories for that. But as we're talking here, this is a real estate investing show. As we're talking here, we're talking about building wealth, right? Building wealth, that is the goal. Who do you have to become to be that person that is wealthy, right? Let's go to the second one. Inspiration. This one is fantastic. This is everywhere. The beautiful thing about inspiration is other people have done what you want to do, right? Other people have done it. Somebody has done it. That's essentially what mentorship is. Somebody has already gone out. Somebody has lost 50 pounds. Somebody has fixed their marriage. Somebody has made $1 million in this business, 2 million, 10 million, 100 million in this business. So that means you can too. It's possible, right? But you have to have the belief. This is the hard part. The belief that you will win. This is it. And belief that you will win, this gets attacked by perceived failures, right? First time you pick up the phone, you call somebody, and they're like, do you see a sign in my front yard? I don't want to sell my house. Oh, man, dang it. The first time you lock up a property and you can't sell it, oh, this doesn't work. First time you knock on a door and somebody doesn't answer, oh, well, I guess it wasn't that easy. All of these things, this has to be bulletproof, building up that belief. And a lot of people tie it to people that have already done it before, people that have been in your situation. People that have gone from nothing to a lot. People that have changed fundamentally their lives. That's the inspiration. And it comes from, this is the imagining part. This is the vision part. This is you imagining. Remember that part? Remember the show that we talked about, you become what you think about? You become what you think about? You become what you think about? That's the inspiration. It's imagining. It's imagining the outcome before it's there, right? Because other people have done it, and that's exciting, but that's mentorship. A lot of people get mentorship and coaching kind of mixed up, and I'm going to show you what coaching is here when it comes to motivation, but mentorship is, oh my gosh, look at that person. They've got all the fancy things. They're incredible. Their life is incredible. That is an inspiration, right? But remember, it starts with aspiration. Then it goes to inspiration, and the next one is motivation. And these all have to mix up together. And the motivation comes from encouragement, right? It comes from recognition. Why do people love posting to social media over and over and over? It's recognition. People are like, yeah, great job. Oh my gosh, you did it. People are posting their before and after pictures of houses or before and after pictures of their bodies. You know, after they lost a lot of weight or put on a lot of muscle or whatever else. Recognition. This is important, right? Direction. What is the direction? You need direction so that you can stay consistent, so that you are constantly taking action. This is following in the footsteps of somebody that has already done it. This isn't mentorship, seeing somebody that has already been successful and being inspired by it. This is somebody giving you the action plan. This is instruction. That's what direction is. Instruction. Go do this today. That's direction. Persistence. Ooh, this is the one, right? This out of all of them in motivation, this is the one that gets attacked if that belief starts to crumble. All of these mixing up. I want to be that wealthy real estate investor. I believe that I can do it. Now I have to persistently take action every single day to be able to do that. And that's why the problem that happens is these two here, the intensity and the persistence, once you get a $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 check, and then you start getting complacent because you got there, the persistence, that is what builds into that success little mixture, right? You know who you want to be. You know that it's possible. You know that you can do it. And now it's persistently doing it, going. And that's what builds in that consistency. But wait for it. The intensity in which you're doing it, right? This really just means how much are you getting done today? What are you doing today? How focused are you today? Are you letting doubt, distraction, and disappointment stop you from taking action and bringing that energy and enthusiasm to this business? That's the intensity. And then you mix these two, you are unstoppable. All of this, unstoppable. Most people get these things from coaching, but some people internally coach themselves. Some people just internally, they're there, they're pushing, they're going. I need a coach. I just need a coach. And that's what helps with the motivation, is getting a really good coach to be able to do that. But you could totally do it. It could be internal. It could be a family member. It could be somebody that really just is pushing you and encouraging you and recognizing you. It could be your spouse. You know what I mean? But that persistency and that intensity, that's what I'm talking about. That's what builds and strengthens that belief in what you're doing to become the person that you want to be. It all has to blend. It's so exciting. That's the roadmap. You know what I mean? Any goal that you want to be, any goal that you have, in any one of those, in your relationships, in your health, in your wealth, in your spiritual or philosophical, you can achieve all of those things if you have the belief in there, the persistence, and the intensity, all of these things. And it just all blends together. Why aren't I motivated? Right? I'm going to come back here. Why aren't I motivated? Why can't I stay consistent? Those are the questions. Those are the top two questions that I get on my DMs, from my coaching students, from everybody. Motivation and consistency, because you have to tie all of those things. Who do I want to become? Do I believe that I can do it? And do I have the frequency? Do I have that persistence? Do I have that intensity to become that person? Matt, will you put up nope, the other one. That one. Yes. Perfect. This is it. I love this. And then we're going to open this up to comments, and we're going to go bananas and questions, whatever else. But if you are persistent, you will get it. If you are consistent, you will keep it. That is the absolute fact. That is the fact. Do you know what people call persistence? Hunger. That fire in your belly. That's what persistence is. That thing where you run up against these perceived failures, which are not. It's just adding to your experience. It's just adding to your life. It's just making you understand what doesn't work so that you can figure out what does work, right? All of that, persistence, hunger, that passion, right? You get it. You will get it. The consistency is how you keep it. You can go after that person that you want to date. You love them. Oh my gosh, they're incredible. They're beautiful. They're funny. They're engaging. All these things. And you get them. But consistently treating them unbelievably, that consistency, that's how you keep it. You go and build this business. You go out there. I know without a doubt, nobody has proven me wrong yet, that if you go out and you have enough quality conversations with distressed property owners, you will win. You will get deals. You will get deals. You will get incredible opportunities, without a doubt. Can you do it consistently? Can you build a company, a business, a team that can do that over and over and over again, right? Does it fit? Is that who you want to be? Do you want to be the business owner do you want to be a real estate entrepreneur? Own a real estate business for real. Because you can't fake it. Because it just fades away. It fades away if you're not being consistent. And that's what it comes down to, the motivation and the consistency. Motivation and consistency. Keeping that fire in your belly for this business. And I find it extremely, extremely easy to do because the rewards of this business are incredible. Man, it's hot in here. I'm sweating.
Hey, so tell me if I'm on the right track. What I took from that, Brent, is it boils down to you got to want something, right? You got to believe that you can get it. And then you just got to work on it day after day after day, right? So am I on the right track? That's what I took away from that.
That is the goal, but the goal is more about becoming the person that you want to be, right? The goal is, a lot of people, I build my business so that I can have opportunity to work with the people that I love and provide for my family. But my family would live with me in a van. They would. It'd be crazy. I'd go crazy. But they would truly, people are like, what's your why? Well, my why's providing more for my family. I get it. I totally get it. But what does that mean? Does that mean that they have to all drive Porsches? Does that mean they have to live in a mansion? Does that mean that they have to have vacations 5 times a year? What does it mean? Does it mean that you're there more? Does it mean that you're there during the important times when your kids are young and you're raising them? What about your friends? What about your relationships? What about the people that are wildly talented around you and being able to work with them? Tell you what.
So a couple questions. So if somebody came to you, somebody who's new and never done a deal, right? And then if somebody came to you that's actually done a deal, do you find that they have different challenges staying consistent and motivated? And if somebody just called you, like a coaching student, say, Brent, I need some help, what do I do to stay consistent and motivated? I've never done a deal, or I've done deals. Would you advise them differently?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just depends on where they're at. A lot of people are starting out in this business and they're doing it part-time, and it's their side hustle, right? And that needs to be, there is a big difference between wanting to be a real estate entrepreneur and it must happen. That is the difference between superstars and the people that do a couple deals here and there, and they talk about those deals at barbecues for the next 20 years. That's the truth. Difference between want and it must happen. I must not work at my job for the rest of my life. I must have the freedom of my own schedule. I must have X amount in my account so my family doesn't have to have the financial responsibility of taking care of me when I am no longer bringing in income. All of these things, right? All of these things matter. All of these things boil into whether or not you're going to stay consistent. Because I'm telling you, without a doubt, you stay consistent, having quality conversations with distressed property owners, you will build a fortune. You will build a fortune. I am telling you, the opportunities are just limitless there. I mean, you could do so much and provide so much value in the community that it's wide open. That's the beautiful thing about real estate. That's the beautiful thing about, going into this business and really, really, really making that part of you, right? I remember having the conversation, Mike, after we lost it all in 08, 09. And my dad's like, hey, Brent, my dad was in aerospace. He sold like parts for airplanes. And he's like, I think that you would do unbelievable at this job. It wasn't even an option, Mike. He's like, real estate just chewed you up and spit you out. Like, what are you doing? Why are you staying there? I just knew. I knew that that's the person that I wanted to be. I knew that I wanted to be in this business. I knew the power that I could go from nothing to millions by being consistent. I knew it. There's too many examples of people that have done it and done it well and done it over and over and over and over. And that's why I love this business. That's why I love what we do. It's because this business, you can literally bootstrap it, put it on your back, and with hard work and a fire in your belly, you will win. You will win. It's just consistency and motivation and having that coaching and being around people and squatting up with people that are doing this and have that energy. The problem that people fall into is they come from other industries or other life, military, driving trucks, nursing, teaching, other businesses that have been successful. They're coming into that and they don't have this huge network of people around them to support them, right? And to give them the encouragement and to give them the recognition. And I think that's why it takes longer for some people. And I think that's why people find programs or coaches or whatever else. It's not a plug, it's just facts. You know, that's why we say you join, you find somebody that you feel in your gut is good to coach you, and then all of a sudden you're skipping to the front of the line. And it's not necessarily just because the information and and it is in some level, there's better coaches than others, but it's about you have the consistency, the recognition, the motivation, that intensity that you wouldn't have if you just went by yourself. Yep. So there you go. Boom.
So a couple things. We got a bunch of great questions, and then should we bring in some fans?
We'll be fine.
Okay.
It'll cool down. This is a rare day in Phoenix where it's raining outside, so it's like weird, awkwardly humid, and we have like 5 swole dudes in here. Big, strong men in here. Alejandra's not here. She is not taking the Instagram questions, obviously. So it'll be wide open to YouTube questions. So let's rock and roll. Let's open this up. I really wanted to make this show more. You know, we kept it to about 20 minutes, which is great. I want to keep this show mostly about answering questions. If you have not subscribed, if you're getting value out of this and you're feeling this and this feels good, right? You're getting a good vibe. Subscribe to the channel. We're coming out every single day to give instruction, to push, to get that motivation into your brain. And I want to provide that. So you need to subscribe and hit that bell button so that you can get alerted every time a new video drops. Here we go. Jesse, hit me with it. Mike, there he is. Mike Van Ness. This is a TTP family member. Came in a month ago. Brent, how do you deal with not having to babysit your escrow company, having to play TC, that stands for transaction coordinator, on top of other roles is exhausting to get to the finish line on these? Yeah, Mike, COVID really kind of clogged up the title and escrow companies. It was title and escrow companies traditionally are in an office together. And there's usually kind of like a assembly line process for the way that they work with their escrows. And because everybody was scattered, and I know you're in California, so people are still scattered, it's going to be difficult. You just got to, this is just a weird moment in time, Mike, that you're going to have to be a little bit more on top of it. But you need to constantly be giving encouragement to your escrow officers. If they're good at their job, you got to constantly give them encouragement, constantly tell them they're doing a great job, communicate with them, and then you're going to just naturally boil up to the top as their favorite client to work with. And the fact is, you know, if they like you and you're bringing them business, they're going to work harder for you and make sure that things go a lot smoother. So what I would say is, one, just have empathy for, you know, kind of what they're dealing with. It's really difficult to do this just virtually and try to communicate with everybody, and they're still trying to figure it out. But as they get more into going into the office, it should be smoother. It should be more efficient, but give them some time, because even if they're back in the office, they're still backlogged a ton, and the market's going bananas, and everybody's, you know, wants to get things done and slam through. So just have a little bit of empathy there. Give them encouragement, but let them know what your expectations are once things settle down. They should be taking care of everything. That's what a really great escrow officer will do for your company. All right? Great pick. Look at that pick. Look how handsome he looks there. Look at that guy. That guy's like a model for button-up shirts. There you go. Cleo, is it realistic to be a musician as well as a real estate investor and do both well? I like to fund my hobbies and dreams. Absolutely. Listen, it just depends on when you can. You got to take an honest, hard look at your schedule and just determine when you're going to commit to this business, right? I love that you're a musician. I want you to go as far as you want to go with that. I think it's a wonderful talent. I can't do it, certainly, but it's something that you have and that makes you happy. You have to keep doing that. I mean, don't just sideline that because of it. You have 168 hours in a week. You have time for this business. If you're part-time, 20 hours. That's the minimum. 20 hours a week to commit to this business, and 15 of those should be on the phone hunting for opportunities. All right, so just find that in your schedule. I'd be curious to see what kind of musician you are. Put what musician you are. Maybe you're singing or instruments or whatever else. That'd be awesome to know. But yeah, I mean, you can do both without a doubt. Without a doubt. And the beautiful thing is, you get this thing down. You follow the path that I outline here and be proactive, and you keep most of the income that you make. Whoo! Your schedule's going to open up. That 20 hours a week is going to be like a battery for the rest of your week. I mean, it's just going to give energy to all the rest of everything, right? Focus on that 20 hours, put in that work, and then it's up to you. Do you want to go 30 hours? Do you want to go 40 hours? Do you want to start hiring some people? Do you want to start building an actual business, or do you just want to be self-employed? I see a lot of people that have true passions, whether it be engineering, whether it be their line of work that they're in right now. They love it. We have a wonderful student in South Carolina that he researches bird habitats, right? Bird habitat, loves it. Absolutely loves it. And is still making $400,000 a year in his wholesaling business. You know what I mean? So it's a singer. Fantastic. Well, keep singing, Cleo. Sing, practice, get it going, and keep doing your real estate business. It will fund that. It will fund that for sure. That's incredible. Awesome. Oh, come on. Look at this. Is that a sailor? That looks like a sailor to me, right? That's a Navy guy. 19 legacy, 15K coming. Boom. Keep this belt. Got two. Listen, Javier, crushing. Listen, guys, this is interesting. So JVC here, Javier came into the coaching program on fire. He just has it. He has that thing. He just has that fire in his belly. Always asking questions, always texting me. Boom, 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 going, and then boom, just broke right through. Was pushing, breaking right through, and now consistently closing deals. Not only that, but he's closing big deals, big, massive deals, life-changing deals. Incredible. I love it. I love it.
Brent, if people just go to the YouTube channel and search part-time, I mean, we got a lot of people doing a lot of deals.
Yeah.
Part-time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and listen, the design of the channel is not for clickbait. The design of, that's why, the channel grows, like, just by real people, real quality people subscribe. And it's like, we put out real examples. Like, I have interviews with incredible wholesalers from around the country that are really doing this business, that aren't like having these multi-million-dollar businesses yet. These are people that have just started out and give true inspiration, showing you that somebody's already done it. That's the inspiration. That's what I want you to get out of those podcasts. I think they're absolutely critical to watch those, especially as you're starting to build momentum, to understand that you don't have to be a superhero to be successful in this business. You don't have to be a genius to be successful in this business. You just have to put in the work. Just follow the instruction. Quality conversations with distressed property owners, you win over and over and over, right? Persistence, intensity.
The people you were talking about was Paul and Rita Grimes.
Yeah, the Grimes.
Biologist and nurse. They got kids, made over 200K just part-time.
That's it.
It's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, but that was 200, that was like half of the year. They're going to make like way more. When testing a list, how many addresses should you test, and what should you look for when testing? I like 300, Daniel. I like pulling a list of 300 because when you get them back from skip tracing, you usually get about 250, okay? Now, if you have those and you skip trace them, make sure that you're skip tracing them through batchskiptracing.com. Guys, listen to me. Do not get bad data. Do not get bad data. That is one of those things that'll frustrate you, and then all of a sudden you're like, how am I able to be successful? And then it starts tearing away at your inspiration. Then you got to get inspired again, and then you got to go and get motivated again, the whole thing, right? So get good data, batchskiptracing.com. Get the great data, and that you should get back about 250 addresses. Now, if you're using a dialer, which I suggest you use a dialer, when you are calling, it should call about 50 addresses an hour. So if you have 250 addresses, that means you're testing a list for 5 hours. After 5 hours, you're going to know if you're getting good leads there, if people are picking up, if you're getting good contact rates, if the conversations are going well, if the people that you're talking to sound distressed or sound like the property conditions are rough. That's going to be what you're looking for there, Daniel. You're looking to just see what is the response that you're having from calling that list. So 300 comes down to about 250 after you get the addresses back. It'll be 5 hours worth of calls, and that'll let you know if you like that list in that area.
Real quick, if you're using a dialer, is that on a single line or a triple line?
Triple line dialer.
Got it.
Yep, triple line. Yep. Keystone Property Solution. I have a seller ready to sell, but they don't move out of the house until the end of the month. My buyer is ready. Can we close on the house with the owner still living there? Yes. Listen to me. Google this. Post-possession agreement. Post-possession agreement. All right? It'll be an addendum to the contract. You're going to close on it. What we do is, depending on the price and the situation, we will either hold back the escrow, do a holdback of the proceeds. So let me not get too in the weeds with this. Escrow company controls the money. Buyer brings in the money. They pay off any liens that the seller has. The remainder goes to the seller. Well, what they do is the title company will hold back $5,000 to $10,000. $10,000's better in their company. They will hold it in their account to be released based on that post-possession agreement. Typically, it's 2 weeks to 30 days. If it's 30 days out, you just put in the post-possession that on that date, the property has to be clean and vacant, and they get their $10,000. If not, they start accruing charges every single day. Sometimes it's $50, sometimes it's $100. Google that, and that'll help out for you. But we do that. I would say 70% of the properties we're doing right now is that. Yeah, we do a lot of escrow holdbacks, and the buyers are just used to it and they understand it, so they plan accordingly to get their contractors lined up as soon as that property is vacant. So very typical, because listen, and the beautiful thing is you get to offer that to sellers, because one of their big concerns, one of the big hurdles for them making a decision to sell that property is, I can't move somewhere unless I have money from this property. And you don't want to give them money up front to go find a property. You want it to come after you do the closing, because that money will just burn. That money will just go typically. And then you have to put a lien on the property, and it's a whole mess. Go ahead, Mike.
So Brent, to be clear, of all the money that should go to the seller when they close, the escrow company will hold back, say, $10,000 of the seller's money, and they'll give it back to them when they move out 30 days later.
That's it.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, the seller will get that money back as long as they move out on the time they're supposed to. Yep. Devin, got our first deal under contract, expecting to make $21K. We have to extend our closing date because of delays in the probate process. Which addendum should we use in the assignment contract? Well, Devin, I'm not an attorney. I'll tell you what we do. All right. Just talk to the escrow company and say, escrow company, I need to extend this. What paperwork do you need to do that? That's what I do. That's what our closing attorney, right? Just ask them, what do you need? What do you need signed? Can you draft up something that I can get signed to extend the close of escrow? And they should be able to do that for you. Yeah, it's typical. Just say, what do you need me to put in here to make this, and who needs to sign it? But typically the seller will sign it, and the if you already assigned, well, you haven't even, it sounds like you're expecting to make, so maybe you've already signed it, maybe you haven't. I feel like you've got the deal, you haven't sold it yet, so if you need to extend it, then you just sign it. If not, you're going to have to work with whoever the end buyer is and and get that over to them. Yeah. No big deal. Yeah. Raphael. Oh, first of all, can we ring the bell for that guy? Oh, yeah. Who is it? Raphael. Hey, Brent. What's the basic rule of thumb minimum equity required to be able to wholesale? That is, the rule of thumb is 30%. But it really, Raphael, your cash buyers will let you know. The interesting thing is, because of the lack of inventory in most markets, a lot of traditional buyers are having to purchase their properties cash. They get a private money loan to buy things cash to have competitive offers. So I like pushing values. I like pushing what we're selling these properties at, especially if you've got a good list of active real estate agents on your cash buyer database, which you should have, right? Because a lot of them represent those buyers that want to live in a specific area, but there's no inventory, so they're willing to pay cash, so you can push it. And that might affect what you can offer. But as a rule of thumb, I would say 30% minimum. The more, the better. But you're going to find, listen, if you follow the instructions on this channel and you're going after properties that were built before 1990 and have been owned for at least 7 years, the likelihood that they have a significant amount of equity is huge. So don't overthink it. I don't even put equity in sometimes when I'm pulling lists, because if they've owned it for a certain amount of time, I know that this property probably has equity. Unless somebody did a home equity line, which, it could happen, but I don't, I'd rather get into the process, get that lead, look at it and see, oh man, they pulled out all their equity. We can't really do anything here. Maybe there's a creative solution. Maybe there's a subject to type deal here. But I just go after all of them, and I want your list to be broader, because you're going to run through them a lot, because you're taking a lot of action. Raphael, Superman Reza, look at that. Love it. Olivia, great question. Is calling better than texting? I think, listen, calling builds up the skills of communication that is required for a long-term success in this business. I believe it's a skill that you have to master or have your staff master. Staff master. That sounds like a supervillain. Yeah, wizard. Yeah. No, it's So yes, is calling better? I believe so. Is it more effective? Yes, without a doubt. I mean, texting is just, they're with the Trace Act, it's getting squeezed down even more and more and more. Now, if your schedule is really tight and all you can do is texting, just make sure that you get them on the phone as quick as possible. But calling is more catching them in the moment, having a good conversation. You know that you're talking to the right person. The likelihood that somebody is messing with you is a lot lower on calls than it is with texting. So I like calling better. And I think it's universal. I think it's going to be around forever in some form or another. Maybe we're calling each other through, Instagram in 10 years or whatever else, or some sort of weird, social media app instead of phone numbers. But we're still going to be communicating. We're still calling. And most people have phone numbers. So let's just call them. Good question. She looks like she's having fun in that picture. She was like vacation or something, or poolside. Rudy, when we have multiple numbers for one address, should I call all the numbers until I get the right person? First two, this is the way that it ranks once you get your skip tracing back with phone numbers. 88% of the time, it's the first number. It's just stats, baby. 88% is the first, 10% is the second, and then the rest of them are 2%. So I usually only call the first two. Depending on the list, some of the driving for dollars will go first three, but nothing after that. Good question. The fit lifestyle, yeah. I mean, I use it literally 50 times a day. Yeah, I mean, for whatever it is, I think they went to $99 instead of $97 recently. It's a huge bump. But anyway, for $100, it gives you it gives you most of the tools that you need. It's absolutely incredible. They've been around since '06. They know what they're doing. Their data is clean. Their user interface is constantly improving and really pretty easy to use. It is designed specifically for real estate investing. So if I had no money and I had stuff around the house, I would sell it to have PropStream. I really would.
TTP data, try it.
Yeah, ttpdata.com. You got to try it. They let you test it out. And I think once you test it out, most people stay just because, I mean, you start using it all the time. You pull your list from it, you comp from it. It makes it super easy. I mean, anybody that has a comp that we go through today, it's through PropStream. So, I think it's a tool that anybody that is serious about this business uses. I know that. So, yeah. I think it's a must. ttpdata.com, baby. You know they sent me a weightlifting belt? PropStream.
We get that in here.
We got to bring that weight. It's got TTP on the back. It's got some sort of, it's huge, man. It looks like a championship like wrestling belt. It's intense. I haven't brought it in yet. I don't know. I'll bring it in. Samuel, there he is. When your callers get a lead to transfer to your CRM for follow-up from you or acquisition managers, who do they say they are when they are on the phone with them, and who do they say will call them back? So the phone prospectors just go by their first name and just say that our acquisition manager, Chad, will be reaching out to them. And then Chad gets to the point where the timeline's short, and then he gets it over to Ryan, my acquisition manager, who we should have on the next show. We'll bring him on the next show. And that is, he was on before. He's fantastic. Ryan's incredible. A ton of value for everybody there. But people don't care, Samuel. Don't overthink it. You know, if you just say, hey, listen, it's going over to our head acquisition manager, Ryan, and he's going to take care of it for you. Ryan's going to be reaching out. They're like, okay, cool, whatever. I mean, people are used to it, right? They don't, it's not like it's not like, unless it's a referral, right? If it's a family member, like stick with it, like keep that relationship going. That's fantastic. But if it's just somebody that you're a lead that you're getting from calling or prospecting or any other kind of marketing that you don't really know them, they don't mind the handoff. And as long as you're communicating effectively, your tone of voice is fantastic. You're asking them great questions. You're there to provide value to them. You're not there to interrogate them. They just don't care. They just want a good conversation and get their problem solved. Yeah. Remember, it's tough to screw up a motivated seller. It's tough to screw up somebody that is truly, truly, truly wants to trade potential equity in their property for speed and convenience. So don't overthink it. Just stay in front of them. Communicate. Lexi Burns. Brent, are you kidding me? I just closed on 2 deals this month for $12,500. Hold on a second. Hold on. Look at this. Oh, I better keep this. Oh, God. Oh, jeez Louise. Blasted. That's hilarious. How much do I think I should be putting into marketing on a weekly or monthly basis? What did we break that down to, Mike? In that, remember the breakdown? It was under $600. Under $600, Lexi. Yeah, and what that goes towards is, this is what I would do. PropStream for sure, $99, TTP data. Deal Machine for driving for dollars, that's $50 if you use the coupon code TTP. Batch skip tracing to get your phone numbers. That's where your most of your budget's going to go, because typically if you're part-time, you want to be pulling 1,000 addresses a month. If you're full-time, 2,000 addresses a month. And that's where most of it, and then obviously a dialer to be able to go after those. So for under $600 a month, you should be keeping 11,900 of that, Lexi. And then obviously you got to, give some to the government.
Batch dialers $139. The total's $589.
$589
for all that, and that assumes you're skip tracing 2,000 addresses per month.
Yeah. Are you able to send that to Matt and he can put that up here? Okay, maybe not. Maybe next time. All right. Awesome. And by the way, guys, real quick, as a side note, if you'll just take this down for just a second, I'll get to Ellie, unless that's going to screw it up. But I just did a video. I just did a interview with Matt Camp over at Deal Machine They have this incredible deal. So last week we were asked, what do you send out? What do you blast out to your cash buyers? Can we get an example of that? For sure, we need to do that, by the way. But the Deal Machine, as part of the app, it's not extra charge, now has individual property dispo websites for any of the deals that you get. Literally, you just type in, wait for the video to drop, but it's so cool. It is something that this industry needs, especially as you're getting started. Maybe you don't have websites or whatever else, but instead of just sending out like a generic email or generic text with like a Dropbox, this is game changing. I'm telling you, it gives you a whole property website on it. It's cool. It's going to be really, really, really cool. It just came out, so we just got loud about that. So look into that as well. That one's huge for the dispo. But go ahead. Ellie. Is getting a real estate license worth it in the long run for wholesaling? It depends. A couple different things, Ellie. One, there are a lot of benefits. A lot of people feel more confident having conversations with anybody in real estate if they attach the brokerage at the end of their name. You know, this is Brent with Stunning Homes Realty, right? It just feels better. It feels more official. Feels like you can go talk to real estate agents and hard money lenders and title companies and real estate attorneys and all of these things, right? It gives you some confidence. So if that's you, Ellie, yeah, huge. Go do it. 90 hours, take a couple tests, get a license. It's probably going to cost you anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000 to get started with that, truly, through the school and the testing, and then all of the things that you have to pay for it when you sign up for, when you join the brokerage, $2,000 to $3,000. Expect that. You get access to the MLS, which is phenomenal. So you get all of the data. Of course, you got to pay for that. Typically it's a yearly fee of anywhere from, $5 to $1,000, depending on your area. And you learn a little bit more. You learn more of the verbiage. So some people like that. Some people like that education and feel comfortable with that. But if you're the type that just wants to go out and be a real estate entrepreneur, you don't need it. You don't. There's a lot of pros to it, but you don't, unless in your market you need a license, real estate license to wholesale property, then you don't need it. And even if you live in those states that need a license, like Illinois and Kansas, then just close on the deals. You don't have to assign the deals. That's all they're saying. Don't assign them. You could close on those deals with transactional funding or funding that you get from friends and family and get a hard money loan, close that deal, sell it to somebody the same day. It costs you more. You're not going to net as much per deal, but you can absolutely do that. I mean, boom, 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 boom. You're buying it and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. So as of today, I don't know any state that requires you to have a license to buy and sell real estate. And that would be super weird if you did. That would feel very, very big government. Yeah, not going to happen. We have too many awesome people. Yeah, we have too many awesome people in this country. Stephen, Brent, do you comp a property when you are about to call a homeowner, or comp when you have an appointment with the homeowner? This is something I really don't know what to do. Stephen, yes, great question. I am telling you, this gets often overlooked, Stephen, because a lot of times you want to know about this property before you're calling them, right? I can't tell you how many times people are like, oh my gosh, Brent, there is this neighbor across the street, and I went online, I did all the research, and I found it, and I know that if I could just find them, it would be the best deal ever, and I think that it would sell for this and that and whatever else, and then they never contact them, and somebody else buys it. Or they contact them and they go, nah, I'm going to just let it sit for a while, right? So we need to have all the pillars of pre-qualifying. Don't go doing due diligence. That's not the due diligence time, right? When you pull that list is already assuming, or 80% of people get their first deals from driving for dollars. You know that it's an ugly house. You know that this house needs some love, all right? So don't do the research. You already know that it's a deal. If you could talk to the property owner, you just need to know if everything lines up. the full condition of the property, their timeline to sell. That's probably the most important because, they could, whatever. They could want $10,000 for a house that's worth $1 million. But if they don't want to sell it until 2050, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It doesn't matter the price. They got to be ready to make a decision. That's the timeline. What's their motivation, their problem, and then what's their price? That's the 4 pillars: condition, timeline, motivation, price. So the first step is pull a list of distressed properties. Okay. Second is have a conversation with the property owner. Then start doing your due diligence, because you need to know if they truly want to sell that property or if they're just curious as to what your offer would be. So don't do all this up front. You're going to get really heartbroken if you're putting in 15, 20 minutes and you're trying to get a hold of somebody and you never get a hold of them, or you do get a hold of them and they don't want to sell it and you're like, oh, on to the next. But what it does is it makes us feel good to do all this research, because that's creative avoidance. That helps us to avoid doing the hard part of this business, which is picking up the phone and talking to people, right? Creative avoidance. We find it everywhere. A lot of people find creative avoidance in doing these little due diligence tasks, doing these analytical little tasks that you feel like, oh yeah, I'm getting better at this. But getting better at this means talking to the property owner on a consistent basis.
So Brent, for Steven and everybody else, so the script has some things in there for pulling price out of the seller. We did a show a couple weeks ago on pulling price out of the seller with some additional scripting, right? But if you're dancing with the seller and you're trying to pull out price, but they won't give you a price, can you break down your Zillow Zestimate formula for just throwing a price over to see if they're even close before you start pulling comps and doing the heavy lifting
On the board?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, Stephen, here you go. This is, if they're not giving you a price and you just want to throw something out to see if you're anywhere close, here is the rule of thumb. And obviously this depends on some of the conditions. So as you're looking at the property, if you're talking to them, you pull it up and you see that it doesn't have a roof or it's been burnt down. This doesn't work perfectly, but for most properties, this will work every time, to take a shot across the bow to see what the expectations of the property owner are. Because I'm telling you, 98.63% of the time, the property owner knows what price they want. They're just playing the game, or they're just like, well, they're not really serious. But if you throw something out and it shocks them, watch how fast that they respond with the price. And if you throw it out there and they're like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Ooh, everybody on here, I'm telling you, everybody on here that is saying, close the deal, JVC, close the deal, doing all these deals, 50K deal, 40K deal, 12.5, did my first deal, 21,000, all of them have had this conversation with the property owner where they get to that price and they go, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, that would work. You get me this price and we can do business. Every single one. It happens every day. Okay? So don't get discouraged. It will happen for you, for sure. Here we go. Zillow. Just go on Zillow. And if the property, sorry man, I'm talking here. Property is 250,000 or more, right? I want you to offer 66% of that number. Okay? If it's under 250, I want you to offer 50% as a shot across the bow. Okay?
So, for example, Brent, let's say on the Zestimate pulls up and it's $300,000.
Yep.
You would just multiply 300,000 by 0.66.
About 200,000.
And the price you would throw out is 198 grand.
Yep.
Okay,
about 200,000.
cool.
Yep. Yeah. And I would say, and then you could just say, listen, it looks like your neighbors are selling for around this price. Neighbors in similar condition are selling for around 200,000. Is that what you were thinking?
And if the seller,
I don't want to say, listen, Mike, I'll give you 198,000 for the property. No. Listen, it looks like, I haven't sharpened my pencil on this. I haven't really, dug into it, but it looks like your neighbors in similar condition, similar size as yours are going for about 200,000. Is that what you were thinking?
And if that goes well, then you're trying to get in for an appointment at some point, and that's when you would, pull the heavy comps and actually come up with your offer.
And I think this is important to understand. This is not lying to the owner. You will find in every single market property selling at 50% and 66% around them. Their neighbors in similar condition are selling for that price. That is wholesale pricing in every area. Now, did you go through and comb through it and do it all? No, but they're in there. They're in there, 66 to 50%. I am telling you, you could pull it up any market, you're going to find that. You're going to find that, or it's going to be higher if you're in like some sort of crazy San Francisco, San Diego, whatever, but you're still going to find deals that are in that 66 to 50%. I'm telling you, whether it's sold to family members, whether it's sold to investors, whether it is, husband and wife separate and all of a sudden he has to buy for this and that, there are sales in those markets that are at 66% and 50%, but it's just a shot across the bow. Yeah. There you go. Oh, Hunter. All right. Where are we going? A little Jacksonville. Listen, I'll tell you what. I like comping in Florida.
Dude,
Florida's wild, man.
The house has fleas. Look at that.
Oh, yes.
Also, quick note, guys. If you are going to send in an address for us to comp, send in details like Hunter did.
Yes.
Told us what the seller wanted, gave us some idea about the condition, stuff like that. We're way more likely to pick your property if you give us details.
Ooh, get them. That is good. All right, we're looking at this thing. All right, let's pull this thing up, Matt. All right, here we go. Again, guys, this is ttpdata.com. Let's look at the details of this baby. All right, the first thing that I always do, guys, and you can just follow along as you're comping, I want this to not just be an entertaining exercise. I want you to see the process that I'm using here to get the information. I can pull up any property on PropStream and it tells me a story in a few different ways. And that's what's really, really, really important, because if you understand, if you have the instincts for the story of what's going on here and it matches up to the conversation that you're having with the property owner, you are going to do some incredible deals. All right, so look at this. First thing I look at, 19 years, 3 months ownership. It's 1,1200 square feet, 9,000 square foot lot. This always is something to consider. One bathrooms will always get lower. Always. Always, 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 typically. I mean, unless it's some sort of crazy condo in Manhattan or something, whatever. But let's take a look. I like looking at the aerials. I like getting a feel for, oh, look at this. Hunter, you are a doll. Look at you. You gave me a great one. I love, look at this roof. Look what's going on here. Is that metal? Is that a metal roof? Is that a tin roof? Oh, I love it. So what I'm looking for here is I'm just kind of looking for, where is this at? Is it on a traditional lot? Looks like it's sandwiched between some major streets here. I would assume that the properties over here are the ones that I'm going to want to really look at, as opposed to the properties that are across this major road. An appraiser at the end of this, once this property gets fixed up and sold to somebody that's going to live there and get a traditional loan, an appraiser is going to be hired to make sure and get the valuation of this property. They do that to help the risk assessment for the bank lending the money. So they're going to look here first, and then they'll go on the outskirts if they're similar properties. But I'm looking here. It looks like you've got maybe a school here. No, it looks like probably shopping. That looks like shopping. Anyway, so you're close to shopping, which is nice. You got walking distance. I want to see what's going on with this property. Take a look at what it looks like. Oh, it looks like a bush. No. Here we go. Let's spin. Oh, yeah, baby. Yes. Okay. So what do we see here? We see a truck that has probably not moved in a while, considering that the engine has been crushed. We see that actually the roof, these metal roofs last a long time, which is great. We see that it's a brick house. We see that the landscaping is, it's somewhat taken care of, which is interesting. So this is great. This is fantastic. I like what's going on here. So let's get out of this. Well, actually, I wanted to see something. I wanted to see what this is. Is this a gas station? Gas station. It is a gas station. Interesting. Okay. Gas stations affect, they do have some effect on property values because a lot of people hang out at gas stations, and it doesn't give the most appealing aesthetic. But whatever. This is non-owner occupied, 19 years. So let's take a look. And it looks like they bought it for $60,000 in 2002. Fantastic. And then I want to look at the linked properties and just see how many. So this isn't a significant amount. And the reason I go to this linked properties, guys, and I'm taking my time on this because my team said to kind of like slow down and let this absorb. The linked in properties here is interesting. If somebody has more than 3 properties, the likelihood that they're going to sell at a discount is low. I'm just telling you, unless the property is in really rough shape and they just want to get rid of it and they're out of state and they just don't want to deal with it. Most people that own over 3 properties are pretty savvy. They understand the economics of their property, and typically they have the financial resources to be able to fix up these properties. Okay? And that's important to know because, somebody that owns 2 properties, maybe they don't. Maybe they're living in one, they rented one. This used to be the house they lived in, but then they bought a different house and they kept this as a rental for a while, and it's just been a headache. It tells you a story. If people have over 3 properties, I'm telling you, you got to throw a price at them immediately. Because if you don't, you're going to be chasing your tail. You're going to spinning your wheels. And remember, you're never going to convince them to take a discounted price. You're just not. All right? So let's go to the comps. All right, the first thing, the main thing that I've fallen in love with this, the comping section here is this, the neighbors. I love it. Look at that. It pulls it all, keeps it all clustered. They just take it all. They don't care if this property was sold 1,000 years ago or yesterday. They're gonna pull all these ones that are closest to it, and I love that because that's what an appraiser is going to look at. So I want to see. Look at this. Look at this, guys. 115-2-1. Okay. Tiny. So 400 square feet smaller, similar size lot, but this is telling me a lot of what's going on here. This was just sold in February. Let's take a look at this comp at 115. Okay. It's tiny, and the pictures are tiny, but this is clean. This is clean at 115, right? This is clean. So you got an extra bedroom. You've got 400 square feet bigger. Will an appraiser look at this not as a perfect comp, but this gives us a really good idea. What is this one here? This is a 3-2. It sold last year, 1,300 at 168. Okay, we've got an apartment. That doesn't work. We've got this one that's 1,700, but it was built in 2016, so that doesn't work. So we've got a nice little range here of 168 to 115, right? And this one was sold a while ago. The market's different. It's hot. So let's look at the comparables. And I like going on both. Now, some on the non-disclosure states like Texas, you have to use the MLS button right here, but we go both. It does a nice job of putting in the square footage. And look at this. This is fantastic. Look at 6. I'm looking at 6 because it's right there at the tip here. And that one went for 165. 3-2, 1,100 square feet, but look at this. It lines up. This is great. So this is 165 sold. Okay, let's take a look at this. Oh, beautiful. Come on. Look at this. All right, so 165, and it's 1,100 square feet, but it's got an extra bathroom. This is significant. I would peg this as, fixed up this property, going for 150 in this market. I wanted to say 145, but I think 150. I think there's some decent comps scattered around. Let's look at this 200 comp here. It's across the way. Let's look at this. Okay. It's similar to ours because we have a garage, but it's very nice. And this is a 1.5 bathroom though. Let's see how close this is. Where is that guy? 200,000, 11 is right here. It's right. I would use this. Look at that, guys. It's right here, right? It's right here. We're right here. So this is bumping it up. So this one went 165. This one's 200. It's 1.5 bathrooms, which is interesting. So I would say that you could probably push this up to that 165 that was just sold here. But it took 87 days. I don't know. I think that there's something going on here. I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to go at 155. Okay. And by the way, here's the thing. Because there's comps there at 200, I would go call that real estate agent that sold that property at 200 and say, hey, listen, I'm buying this property and I'm just wondering, totally fixed up. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, totally fixed up. What does it sell for, right? And how much does it cost to remove fleas from a house? Right? So ARV here, I would just say is 155,000. Okay? And then you're going to times this by 0.894. Okay? So take off 6% for closing costs. You're going to subtract 20,000 for the profit that an investor will want. Okay? Mike, where are we at?
125.7.
125.7 minus, this property has, tenant just moved out. It's in rough shape, has fleas, 1,100 square feet, probably 30K.
No.
I'm going to take 30K off for fix up. What does that put us at, Mike? 95.7 is typically what that's going to wholesale. You've got to get on your negotiating hat, because if they want 120, we need to get under here. You need to be at like 85 to make 10 on it. Now, listen to me. I would call that agent and talk to about the one that went for 200,000 and see if there's a significant difference on that side of the street versus this one. But this one has a weird shaped neighborhood, because you got a main road going here, you got a main road going here, you got a gas station that's walking distance to this house, and you've got a lot of commercial around there. So you've got, it's kind of like a mixture of a lot of things that maybe make a traditional buyer uncomfortable living there, which drops down the value, but it could not. I mean, there could be no inventory and this thing could sell for, 180, 190. So I would have that conversation with that real estate agent and say, what do you think it would sell for? Fast, like real fast, totally fixed up right here with 1 bathroom. That's the conversation that I would have, and I'd be curious. So if you could, Hunter, stay on here, but call this agent right here. Hold on. Let's go to this guy. On Adabro, allow. I'd go MLS details. I would call this agent right here. Roland. Boom. I would call up or Google his name if this is the office line. No, this is his phone right here. Call this number, Hunter, right now. Have that conversation. Look at this. This thing got bid up. Look at this. Fantastic. Oh, I see what's going on here. Oh, we put it on for 179. Oh, no. Let's change it to 199. This thing's too hot. Oh, okay. Oh, we pulled it off the market. We did a price or something went wacky, and then we put it back on at 199, and then it sold for 200. So have a conversation with Roland and ask him, do it right now, Hunter, do it right now, so that you can comment live during this show and see what his opinion would be on value if you can get it back in time, and just tell him that you're buying that property. All right? Matt, you got this in. Oh, there you go. All right. Fantastic. Woo! We are 17 minutes away from the Todd Toback. I am telling you, I started listening to the No Limits podcast, No Limits Real Estate podcast with Todd Toback. He had it for years. Todd's been talking about wholesaling since 07, 08 or something. Yeah, it's been going on forever. And then he had Tom Kroll on. Tom Kroll, I then found Wholesaling Inc. because I put Tom Kroll in the search on my iTunes, and then found Wholesaling Inc., joined Wholesaling Inc., got mentored by Tom Kroll, became a Wholesaling Inc. coach, and now we're here, baby. Wow, what a life. But it started, that spark started with Todd Toback, so I'm excited to bring him on here to talk about motivation and consistency. So it's going to be absolutely incredible. All right, so stick around. That'll be in 16 minutes. You like that voice? Oh, yeah. Brad Couch. How to comp a property that has a tear-down house on it. The neighborhood is all changing to $1 million homes.
I'm looking at the neighborhood right now, just on Google Maps.
Yep.
It looks similar to like Arcadia.
Okay.
Nice older neighborhood, smaller older houses, but a lot of big houses, nice houses getting built.
What size houses? Well, let's pull this up so that we're not leaving this a mystery for everybody.
Some of them look huge.
Huge. Let me ask you this, Brad, real quick. Tell us, how much do they want?
$395.
He wants $395 for it? I see. Okay, so you got a 900 square foot house. So this is beautiful. Listen, this is great. Couple different things here. I love these names. Oh yeah, this is Arcadia, baby. This is exactly like an area here in Phoenix called Arcadia. Fantastic. I mean, listen, it just depends on building cost. Let's call it, for luxury, it's what, between $150 and $200 a square foot, right? Yeah. Don't shrug your shoulders at me, guys. Like, come on. All right, 150 to 200. Let's look at the comps here. Let's see what the biggest sale in the neighborhood is. Sale date. Okay, so you got 1.225. Obviously, it's not 1,000 square feet, but this is a great example here. I would look at Rochelle, and this one is showing that it is a 1,200 square foot house. It's obviously been changed. Went for $375. It failed. Let's look at mortgage transaction history here. $202,500 was the estimate for the amount, but that was 07. God, Texas is so. Ugh. Texas just messes with you. 1.225. So somebody built something on this. I'd be curious to see if it's on Zillow. Let's take a look here. If you guys don't right click and just do that search Google, that is the way to do it. I'm telling you. Let's see. It's still showing that, so I don't know what's going on.
That image was from 2019.
Oh, that's 2019. Look at this neighborhood. Woo, looking good. I love it. So if you can get 1.2 out there, I think that that would be an interesting. It's a little high. I like it better at like the 250, to be honest. But I would have with a property like this. I would have a conversation with whoever built any of these properties. Just find out who the builder is. Find out who the builder is next door or whatever else. And I think you can make something happen here. I think the price points and what's going on over here are interesting. Let's look at this thing. Let's look at next door. Okay. Tear down, 385. I mean, I know in Arcadia that would be swooped up, but it just depends on how big of a house you could build there. They're probably building a 2-story house on that size lot. Sell it for 1.3. Typically for a lot, you want to buy it at 20% of what you're building at. So 1.3 puts that at $2,260,000, right? So I like it more like.
Look at right on the other side of the street.
What do we got? Oh, brand new here. Somebody's going brand new there. What am I looking at?
Right there.
Oh, yeah, baby. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, there could be potential. It just depends on what people are building their properties for. Let's say it's 150 a square foot and you need to build a 4,000 square foot house. So 4,000 times 150, Mike.
4,000 times 150. Calculate that. 600 grand.
600 grand, and he wants 385. So you're into it 985, and you can sell it for 1.3, 1.4. My juice might be worth the squeeze, boys. Juice might be worth the squeeze. Yeah, I like what's going on here, especially in Dallas. I mean, I would test it out. I really would. And I would just be honest with the owner and just say, hey, listen, this is a project that I think a really good developer, and I know a ton of them. I work with a bunch of them. I'm not going to be buying it, but I can get it to them. I just got to put it under contract and get it in front of them and just have that conversation and sell it. Yeah, Brad, I think that's a fun one. That is a fun one for somebody, especially. There it is. I would talk to a real estate agent around there as well, one that just crushes, one that's known in that area, and just say, what are people buying lots for, 9,000 square foot lots in this area for, with a tear down, and see what they say. That's another one where you're going to want to sharpen your price with talking to a real estate agent. But Brad, I think there's potential there. I like it better at 250, obviously, but find out what people are buying lots for or other properties. Hold on, let's real quick, because we didn't even look at this. So I went neighbors. I went here. You've got a smaller property here that went for 449. You got 375, 233, 443. These are all this year. Let's take a look at what these look like. Let's look at what this 230 looks like. Okay, teeny house. This one I would assume somebody's probably not going to knock down. They probably just bought it, but they might. I mean, it's a nice house, but they might knock it down. It's 1,500 square feet over there. And then you've got 375 here. Look at you. I love it. This is, talk about a magical house. Wow. Look at that. That's shocking that it's sold for that. I don't think that that's the right price on that. I feel like
when you were in there, it said sold for like 800.
Yeah. That's the problem with Texas. Oh, man. Texas. Let me just look and see if there's any vacant land that'll pop up here. Last sales in that area. Okay, well, you got one that sold 1.3. It says it's vacant land, but it probably not, but it's not going to give us too much details. It's somebody built something on here. Look at that. 4,500 square feet, 1.1. They're not going to give us much of a transaction history. Yeah. Texas.
Can you see what that vacant land sold for? That was right across the street. That looked like it was getting ready to be built on.
Let me see. Looks like it's this one, right?
Yeah.
No. It might be the owner that's doing it. Yeah. But I would go across the street and just go talk to that that picture was old, right? Yeah. Talk to an agent that works in that. I've got a great property. It's a tear down. What would somebody buy for? What would a developer or a builder pay for something like that? Yeah, have that conversation. That's great. 8 minutes to Todd Toback in counting. 8 minutes to Todd Toback. He's going to be on here. We're going to just rip and roar about consistency and motivation. All right? Let's go. Are you text blasting to get leads? Romario asks. Yes. Yeah, but it's getting less and less. You can't go as wide. You have to go deeper with your texts. But yeah, we use batchleads.io. We use them for a lot of things, for stacking our lists, for text blasting, and you get free texting out of there with the TTP code. I think they give like 500 free texts or something. Is that what it is? I think it's something like that. Yeah. So Romario, check that out. Daniel, if 15 hours a week on the phones is minimum for part-time, what would be the minimum if you are full-time? And what is the current context to leads you are seeing? It depends. It's all over the place, Daniel. Depends on people's skills. Depends on which list it is. It depends on how many times through that list you've called. So contacts to leads, I mean, you know, the rule of thumb used to be 1 to 15. Now it's more like 1 to 25 contacts that you have. You should be getting a lead. Typically, it's about half a lead. That sounds crazy, but about a lead every 2 hours, right? And 15 hours, the minimum for full-time is as much as you possibly can. Minimum is 15 hours for full-time. Minimum for part-time is 15 hours. But the advantage of going full-time is you can stack your stats. You know, you can take more at-bats if you're going full-time. Yeah. So, Daniel, typically about half a lead an hour or 2 hours a lead, depending on a lot of different factors. Area, frequency, list. Yeah. Those are the big ones. Paul, how do you lock up deals virtually when cold calling? Well, there's a lot to that, and I'll bring Lauren Hardy on here to just blow your faces off about virtual wholesaling. There you go. But basically, I'll give you this, Paul. It's mostly the same. Most of your pre-qualifying and lead follow-up are on the phone, right? It's just the offer presentation and then selling that deal and getting access to your cash buyers. That's different when going virtual. So when you are presenting your offer, what I highly suggest is you schedule a time with them where you can go over the contract with them virtually. And whether that be a Zoom, I love using Zoom, whether it be some sort of face-to-face, they can see you type of situation, and you can go over the contract and have them sign it and get all their questions answered while you have them. All right? That's going to be really, really, really important. Because if you don't, you're just sending it to them and you're hoping and praying and you're looking at the DocuSign. You're like, oh, they've seen it, but they haven't signed it. What's going on? Are they leveraging my offer? I'm losing it. This is going to be a $20,000 deal. And I'm freaking out right now, man, because they haven't signed it. Yeah, that's it. Can I hit that one more time, please? That is the sound that you make when you don't get them on live. So get them on live, have a conversation, do a Zoom call with them face-to-face, and get them to sign it. If not, if they're older or something like that, they're out of state, whatever, I would send a mobile notary. Big time. Get a mobile notary. Just Google mobile notary. They do it for anywhere from $50 to $120. They don't have to notarize it. You just tell them, I just need you to go there and go through this with them and get it signed. Unless you need to get it notarized. But I don't know if any state you need to get a purchase contract notarized or a purchase agreement. Awesome. Brandon, just had a deal fall through today. Was going to be my first deal, and I should have made $10,000. Pretty salty about it, but I'll keep going. Brandon, well, love to know the details on why it fell out. I don't know if typically when it says that it falls out, that's because the seller doesn't want to sell anymore, or they just kind of disappeared or whatever else. So if it's possible, try to reel them back in. If it is the buyer didn't show up or they didn't perform or something like that, that is a wonderful learning experience to understand who is legitimate and who's not as your cash buyer. So I'd love to get a little bit more details on that, Brandon. But listen, I have had when I was starting out, I thought that there were so many deals, and some of them would fall out. Some of them I couldn't quite get to the finish line. Now we've really buttoned that up because we have really good conversations with the seller that says, hey, listen, I'm committed to you. You're committed to me. Once you sign this, you can't accept any other offers. I am going to buy this property based on these terms. Okay, that is our full intention. And we've been closing on a lot more this year. But then I have the right to market the property and sell it. And we tell them that as well. So, yeah, so control the seller side. On the buyer side, I mean, that is just making sure that you're working with the right people, real legitimate buyers. So there's a lot of learning experience there, but don't let that destroy your belief that you can do this business. You already got it there. The beautiful thing is you went 97% of the way, and now the 3%, don't focus on the 3%. You went through all of this, and yes, it's a lot of work, and yes, you had that 10K in your mind and what you were going to do with it and how amazing that would feel. just keep going, because 10K compared to the millions that you're going to make over the next 5 or 10 years is nothing. It's nothing. I'm telling you, 10K is absolutely nothing. And you're going to make so much more if you keep going forward. So listen, I get it. Be salty for like the next 15 minutes and then get to work, right? Because you can't live in that space. That space does not serve you.
So, I mean, deals do fall through, right? So out of 100 deals, you know, how many-ish fall through for you, do you think?
For me, 2 maybe. Yeah, and usually it's because of some unforeseen title issues or somebody, a family member steps in and they're like, listen, we made the decision and we just can't sell it right now and it makes sense and we just don't, you know, we don't want to force somebody to do anything that they don't want to do. So, yeah, there we go. Are you guys kidding me? Here it comes. I've been promising this. Everybody's been getting real excited about what's about to happen here in the next 20 minutes because we have the mentor to my mentor, Todd Toback here, that is going to be coming on when he's not frozen, because he's looking pretty aggressive right now if we put him on. Todd Toback. So hopefully his internet clears up. Just make sure that technical... Is it because he clicked the link twice or something? Is that usually what happens?
No, it just looks like internet.
No, his internet?
Look at him.
Huh? He's ready to go. It's just he's kind of frozen. So
He's been sitting here waiting for a couple minutes, but then it just
froze on him?
see if it comes back.
Okay. All right, so we're going to work on Todd. Todd, if you're watching this, if you can see me, he can't just close it out and get back on, right?
Yeah, he could
Clo-
close it. We
clo-
usually do you have your phone?
Close it out. Yeah.
You want me to text him?
Yeah. All right. So Jesse is texting him. Look at that. I mean, this is the
Well-oiled machine.
well-oiled. Yeah, listen. Live streaming is not perfect. You know what I mean? But
Live show.
it's a live show. I'd like to show you all my Phoenix Suns colored pen. Game 4 is on tonight, so we're excited about that.
Killing it.
And Brian, how do I get a coach session with Brent? Well, a couple different things. One, you can get a lot done through ttpinsider.com, ttpinsider.com. For one-to-one access, you have to join the coaching program, and you can check that out at wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Check out that. Check out all the testimonials. It's bananas. Would love to work with you personally. Yep. Awesome. Any luck with Todd or?
What's your passcode?
Oh, come on. We got to get the passcode. We got to do the whole thing. Anyway, let's keep going with any other questions until Todd's on. Jesse's doing kind of a multitask as Mike Mahoney is eating beef jerky and just watching him try to text and come up with comments. There he is. Other than driving for dollars, what list are you pulling right now in this market? Yeah, Brandon, we have all the lists, and then we keep updating them. We kind of keep expanding out into further areas in northern Arizona. But basically, tired landlords, right? Tired landlords with equity. But most tired landlords have equity. So that 30 to 40% equity in there is kind of assumed if they've owned it for 7 to 10 years. So you're looking for, he's back. Here we go. So right now, the tired landlords, multifamily tired landlords, and vacant land list. You know it, Brandon. I know you know it. All right. Can we bring Todd on? You ready? Todd, you're live, baby.
Can't hear you.
He can't hear
ya.
me. Can you hear me now, Todd? Nothing.
Nada.
Nada. Our producer is working on it as we go. I think the interesting thing is I wonder if people can hear me and Todd, but Todd can't hear me. Yeah. Anyway. How we looking? Todd, can you hear me? Get him on the phone. Yeah.
What is Big Mo stand for?
Momentum.
Nope.
We're going to do this and figure this out.
He's coming in. The people can hear him.
Yeah. Can they hear me?
Are you calling me?
Yep.
Give me like 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay.
I'll call you in 2.
Yep. No, I'm calling to talk to you.
Yeah. I'll call you in 2 minutes.
Okay. Guys, we need to figure this out. This should not be this difficult. This should not be this difficult. We got to get this thing dialed in. Okay. Well, that was Todd. And I don't know if his speakers aren't working or if we're not connecting or what's going on there. But
I think it might have been speakers.
yeah.
Because your input was going.
Okay. So maybe it's the speakers. All right, Brent, is a mobile home considered real estate? What type of contract do I use to purchase a mobile home? And do I close the deal with the title company? John, TTP, I love it. Woo! Listen, a mobile home, it depends on if it comes with the land. Okay? Is the land here, Jesse, when he calls back, will you just text him? With the land, it just depends on if that mobile home comes with the land. If it does not come with the land, it goes through the Department of Motor Vehicles. All right? You literally have to buy it and get it like you're buying a car or a truck or a boat or something, or whatever. Do boats go through motor vehicle? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, but you have to go through the Department of Motor Vehicles if it does not come with the land. If it comes with the land, then it's a traditional purchase, and you just purchase it and run it through a title company. Yep. Awesome.
I figured it out. I'm going to send him a new link.
You did?
Yeah, I figured it out.
We figured it out. Will you text him, let him know there's a new link? All right. A lot of moving parts with this show.
It's gonna be worth it, though.
It's going to be worth it. It'll definitely be worth it, for sure. Roj. Hey, Brent, when doing a double closing, both closing dates on the purchase agreement and the assignment agreement should be the same. Yes. Yeah, it should be the same. It should be a simultaneous closing. So this is different between a double escrow. Now, a lot of states don't do double escrows. The way the double escrows work is the funds from your cash buyer fund your purchase, so you don't have to bring in funds at all, and then those funds go to the seller, and you make the in-between. You make the difference between what the seller gets and what you sold it to for the to your buyer. But a double closing, you're literally bringing in money to close it, and then they're bringing in money to close it right after you. So the same day, Roj. Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people do that if the spread is really big. They don't necessarily want the cash buyer knowing how much they're making on a deal. I don't do that often. If I'm going to assign it, I'm going to assign it. If I'm going to close on it, I'll close on it. And if somebody is worried about what my profit is, then we have problems. And we don't sell properties to people that have a problem with what we make on properties. And we can afford that luxury because we have a nice, robust, active cash buyer database. Yeah. Brent, when do you call your leads that are not interested in selling now? Well, you have to bucket them, Brian. First of all, if you're calling in, if it's a cold call and they're like, no, I don't want to sell, I'm not interested. Okay, great, totally understand. Do you have any other properties that you would consider an offer on? Maybe something that needs a lot of work, or maybe even a piece of land, right? So you always want to ask that question, because essentially what they're saying is, no, I don't want to sell. And then depending on the list, I like recycling the Driving for Dollars list every 90 days to 6 months. Okay? And then you can go through and recycle those that are not interested every 6 months and see if you can get them, if they're ready to go. And just dig. I mean, if they're just literally like not interested, click. That's not, that shouldn't, just move on. Just keep getting in fresh ones.
What if they're not interested like right now, but they've got something coming up in the next 1, 2, 3 months that when that happens, then they're open to it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. You need to have a long enough conversation to be able to know what's going on there. I mean, if they just hang up right away, just recycle that list in 6 months and see if things have changed.
So those folks that say, hey, listen, my tenant's moving out in a month or 2 or 3, would you call those people every couple weeks, or what would you do?
Yeah, absolutely. If they say, yeah, I am thinking, but that's a totally different answer. I mean, he's asking for no's. What do you say when somebody gives you a no? I'm not interested in selling right now. That's a no. If they say, yes, I am thinking about it, but it's not going to be for 6 months or after this or after that, then that goes into your lead follow-up. But that's a great distinction, Mike. I'm glad that you brought that up. It's a great distinction, for sure. Jackson, what is a good lead conversion rate? For example, if I get 50 leads, should I be closing at least one of those? I get a lot of retail leads. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. Again, it depends on the list that you're calling. It depends on the condition of the property. If 50 of those leads are in terrible condition, then you should be closing on like 10 of them, 20%. But if those leads are in good shape because they're retail leads or they want retail prices, it's going to be rough. So just make sure that you're filtering your lists based on, all of the criteria that we talk about here. Make sure that they're older, make sure that they've been owned for a while, and that's why Driving for Dollars lists are so powerful. So I think we got it back. We're going to see if this works. Hopefully it does. Come on, streaming. You there? Yeah, well, now we can't hear Todd.
Just kidding. We're good.
That was great. Todd, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here, man. I'm just love coming on the show.
Listen, we have been on fire. We've been on fire about motivation and consistency. And the way that I formatted it early is getting into that perfect mix between aspiration, inspiration, and motivation. And in the middle there, finding that success. But we're also talking about consistency. We're talking about perseverance. We're talking about persistence. We're talking about how that builds into, you can be persistent. If you want to get what you want, you got to be persistent. But to keep what you have, you got to be consistent. And I know that you did an unbelievable speech in Asheville, North Carolina, kind of talking about some of the mental turbulence that we feel in this business. So I thought it'd be perfect to just come on here and just, get your perspective on how to stay motivated, how to keep that consistency.
Sure. Well, I'd like to start with a story, because that persistence, I've never heard it put that way before, but that is just so phenomenal, Brent, because when I was at my corporate job, I was selling Viagra for a living. And I remember there was a situation in which I'd gotten a friend hired at my company, and they brought him in at I think a $15,000 or $20,000 higher base salary than me. And so I went to my boss and I said, hey, like, what the heck? What happened here? And he put his arm around me and he was like, hey, you just don't understand how the corporate world works. Just kind of like suck it up, pay your dues, play the game. And that was that moment where it stirred something inside me, right? That was that fire. And so I'm gonna close this door, because you and I are about to get really, really loud here. Hold on.
Let's go. And you see it right there. You see the momentum. Big Mo. That's what it is, the momentum. But go for it.
Yeah, so we're going to actually come back to that. I actually pushed the desk forward. But what happened was, whenever you're looking for that initial push, right? Because for me, I was in my car and I was embarrassed and I was humiliated and I was just feeling sorry for myself. But at that point, more angry and disgusted, right? And that's what if you're kind of like struggling to take action, right? You need to find that moment. Right? You need to find that moment, because wherever you are right now, you're there because you're tolerating that, right? And there's going to be some kind of event or a feeling or a moment, right, where you just say, you know what, I got to make a change. I've got to shift. I can't do what I've always done, or I'm going to get what I've always gotten. And so some people start there and they get that first check. What I don't tell a lot of people is when I was angry and just like on fire, I did get that first check and I was persistent. But what happened was, for the next couple of years, I stayed at my job and I didn't have the money rolling in. because I didn't lack the second part, and that was consistency. Consistency, right? And so many of us get started in this business because, you know, we're hungry and we're excited. And obviously, I mean, if we see Mr. TTP on YouTube, I mean, who can't help but take action?
That's right.
Right. But when all of a sudden, you know, you get that first check and you lose that fire, right? You've got to build something special, right? And that's why I have this poster behind me. If you'll see it, is called the Big Mo, right? The Big Momentum. And I got this concept from Darren Hardy and also Jeff Olson from The Slight Edge. And the part of this is you have to love the habit and routine, okay, of generating leads, talking to sellers, converting them to close, and getting them to the closing table for as large of a profit as you can handle. And where most people drop the ball is the boring part, right? It's the not sexy part where you're looking and you're like, okay, I'm making, you know, 60 or 70 calls every single day and I'm not seeing the results and I'm not sure if this is worth it. So my favorite analogy, if you take a look at that middle part, right? That's where it says the big, it's the red pump, right? I tell everyone when we were working in an office, I was like, you've got to, you know, hit that pump. And when you hit the pump, nothing's coming out. And the funny thing is most people think that you quit. Most people quit when they don't see any water, when they're pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and they don't see any water. But that's not the case. Most people quit when they actually see a little bit of water coming out, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm pumping. And oh my gosh, this little water is coming out. And then all of a sudden, if they would just wait that extra 60 or 90 days, those floodgates are just going to come, right? And that water is going to be pouring out. And then instead of having to go like this, you just got to go whoosh. Whoosh, right? And so you get over that hill, but then it just takes that simple and consistent arm motion, okay, which is going to give you a business, if you're going to translate in this, that's going to churn off a tremendous amount of cash month after month after month. And when you do that, you get to do the things that you want to do.
Well, and let me ask you, Todd, when you were at the job, was there part of you that had that aspiration to be a business owner? Or was it just, hey, if I can hit my financial goals here, I'll do it, but if I can't, I'm going to have to be an entrepreneur, right? I'm going to have to be self-employed.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go out there on my own. I'm going to have to do these deals. Like, why not just ride that corporate ladder? Why not just keep going and pushing it there? What about, was there something about your aspirations that you just didn't want to do that and you wanted to do it more for yourself?
Yeah, so for me, I think this is what stirred it in, because he's like, well, he said to me, can I give you what you need? Right? And I was living in Santa Barbara in California, and well, what does that mean? Basically, are you going to be able to be satisfied with the money that you're going to get paid? He asked me that, right? And by the way, great mentor. And by the way, great power question, right? And Derek, by the way, my mentor at Pfizer, taught me pretty much everything about sales. So Derek, if you're watching this, thank you for the sales training. I'm sorry I quit. Okay. But you know, going back to that was that moment of dissatisfaction where I said, okay, I'm living in Santa Barbara. I'm not going to be able to afford a house. I'm not going to be able to, you know, go to the beach and, you know, surf or swim every time I want. And I want to be there for my kids, even though I didn't have any yet, because my dad was an entrepreneur. I saw that. And in the summers, he was with us every single day, and all the other kids were commuting to New York City. And I saw the way that my dad built businesses, right, where he put a lot of work in the beginning and get it going. And it was funny that once he got it going, he said, listen, once you get the ball over the hill, you just got to touch it, all right? Yep. Every day, touch it, boom, 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 boom. And actually, my dad was a street preacher. That was his passion. So once he got the business going and over the hill, he worked, but not crazy, right? And it was like, you know, an hour or two a day, went to the office, went over the leads with everybody, right? It was a telemarketing operation, right? Let's convert those leads. What's hot, what's not, right? And then we're going to make as much money as possible. And so he had a blast, and I watched that, and I saw the power of consistency. You know, it's really funny because some people think this is not that sexy of a topic, but let me give you another example. I love to grow tomatoes. right? Love to grow tomatoes. And so I plant them every March. And, you know, I'm out there and you set it up. And that's like that persistence part, right? Where I'm there and I got the drip system and the fertilizer. And every day I'm going out there. I'm like, where's the tomatoes? You know, where's the tomatoes? Where's the tomatoes? Are they growing? And I'm going out there looking for tomatoes. And I'm like, every year I do this, by the way, but I still water them and I still do what I'm supposed to do. My wife is like, you do this to yourself every single year, right? Like they're coming. So long story short, in like the beginning of June, right? I see a couple of tomatoes. Right. And what do you think I'm thinking when I see a couple of tomatoes? Just like that water pump back there.
Yeah.
Well, at first I'm just like, you know, I'm not sure it's worth all this work. Right. Because even though I know what's going to happen, that's what I'm thinking, but I have to remember what you're saying. So, by the way, I'll put it in the notes if I can. I'll put a link to it. Right now, you know, it's the beginning of July, right? We have a massive tomato problem at my house. I mean, they're like there's bins of tomatoes like everywhere, right? And I brought some into the office today and some guys making gazpacho. But it's funny that every day, consistently, right, that drip system comes out and waters it automatically. We put in the fertilizer, we prune it, right? And it was a lot of work to set it up. But once you go in there and it's being watered every single day, before you know it, it's uncontrollable. And the same thing's going to happen if you're listening into this business. When you're cold calling or you're texting or however you're generating leads, it feels like it's a mountain, right? And you're out there, maybe if you're driving for dollars and you're taking pictures and there's nothing. And then all of a sudden 30, days down the line, you might have a few hot leads, right? But if you stick at it day after day after day after day, and you do the right things day in and day out, you better watch out, okay? Because the deals are coming, the money is coming, okay? And if you want to quit your job or you want to keep your job or you want to buy a nice house or have nice things or give to charity, it's coming.
I love it. I mean, that goes back into what I talked about at the beginning of this show. You had the aspiration to be essentially a tomato farmer. You're like, I'm going to be a tomato farmer. I'm going to farm tomatoes. And then you go, I believe I can do it because somebody else has done it, right? It's the inspiration. There's other people doing, growing tomatoes. And then you probably went and found somebody that showed you or gave you instructions on how to set all these up, where to plant your tomatoes, when to plant your tomatoes, how to get all these things set up. And that comes to the coaching side. And that's really the motivation. It all goes in there. I mean, it works for every single part. It's the same with how do I get my first deal? Well, do you believe that you can do your first deal? Absolutely. Why do you want to get your first deal? I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be successful. I want to be this person. That's my aspiration, to be this person. I've got it. I believe that I can do it. Other people are doing it. I've got mentors out there that I want to be like them. And then you've got coaching here that is like, here's the steps to do it. Find an ugly house, have a quality conversation with the property owner, pre-qualify, follow up with those, get the contract signed, and sell that contract, baby. Boom! It's all there.
I love it. It's so easy to complicate this business, right?
It's so easy to complicate it.
It's the business is so easy, but it's so easy to complicate, right? And that's really funny. One of the things that I talk about in the no limit selling system, but as the first thing, like you just mentioned, which is so hot, is you've got to be in the habit of keeping your mindset straight.
Yep.
Right. So mental toughness and that belief and that not getting sucked back into the old you. Right? That's a habit. That's something that you've got to be consistent about. So you've got to believe, and I talk a lot about this in the no limit selling system. I'll give the link here at the end. But you've got to have these affirmations where you're saying, hey, I'm an investor. I make calls. I'm so consistent, right? The deal is on the way, right? I'm different than everybody else. So that's why I feel uncomfortable, right? So you got to start to talk to yourself that way and create that, right? And the second part is that where you got to start to build this consistency is the skills that we talk about in the no limits selling system, right? So you've got to role play with yourself. You've got to read it. You've got to educate yourself, not just once, right? The worst, this is what I saw in corporate America. They used to hire some trainer for a couple of days and come in and expect like all of a sudden to change everybody. Meanwhile, like everyone forgot it 2 days later, right? The key is, right, getting the material or getting the coach and reading it every single day, role playing it, own it, have it become of your DNA. Third part is getting on the phone, right, and making those calls and generating those leads, right? These are all of the three things that your consistency. 4, triaging those leads. Triage is a fancy word for saying who's hot, who's not, who's a contender, who's a pretender, right? And then lock up the contract, right? And we talk a lot about that. We focus on the mindset and the skills. If you want to know more about that, by the way, you can go to convertwholesaledeals.com. Convertwholesaledeals.com. To get the exact system that we use to train all of our acquisition specialists, the system that I've used to train thousands of investors across the country.
Me included, Todd. And every single one of my sales staff have gone through your training program for converting more leads. It is absolutely it's the best. It's the best at really getting that process, because first, the business is really three parts: lead generation, and then the second part is conversion. The third part is exit strategy, and that's real estate investing. That's not just wholesaling. That's everything: lead generation, conversion, and exit strategy. You get that conversion side figured out, you are not only going to get more deals, but you're going to get way bigger deals. I mean, we started out at $12,000 a deal. Now with Todd's training and everybody's gone through it, we're at $38,000. We were at 42. We're back down to 38. We did a couple $20,000 deals. Sorry, Todd. Sometimes you have to do a $20,000 deal.
But it's okay. I mean,
it's at 38,000 now.
Well, and then one of the things we talk about is that if you set, you shoot for the stars, you land on the moon. Hey, that's okay, right?
Yep.
So it's funny that is it okay if I tell the viewers the deal that we're doing right now?
Let's go.
So Brent and I are doing a deal right now. We joint venture on some stuff, and it's funny because I texted Brent and I was like, we're gonna make, I don't know, $27,000 each or whatever it was. And I was like, it's kind of a, it's kind of a stinker, but it's good. Right. And my wife is in the background. She's over my shoulder and she's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, she's like, that's so much money. But I think, and by the way, I'm super thankful for that. Right. So Brent, I love joint venturing with you and doing big deals. And if you're listening to this and you're like, Todd, I'm just trying to make my first 5K check. Right. My goal for you, if you're watching this, is I want you to be really profitable, do big deals. We want to stress you out of your comfort zone and have you make more money than you've ever thought possible, right? We want you to bury the old you and rebirth the new.
Yep. Yeah, and by the way, I got to wire that out as soon as we're done with this, and we're going to be done soon, so we're wrapping this up. So, Todd, give everybody that website again, and
It's convertwholesaledeals.com, convertwholesaledeals.com. In there, we got that in terms of consistency and motivation, there's actually a bonus in there, right? It's called the Daily Habit Accountability Tracker, right? And that's one of those things where if you use it and you focus on it and you go through the habits that you need to do it, I'm telling you, watch out, right? This business is easy, but easy to complicate, right? So I'm just real excited. Thanks for the show, convertwholesaledeals.com, and just always have a blast with your audience.
Thank you for getting through the technical difficulties, Todd. Let's get that deal closed. I'll be wiring it right after we're done here. So you're the best.
All right. Sweet.
Thanks, Todd. See you, buddy. Todd Toback. There it is. The Godfather of Godfathers. He is. Todd is the mentor to the mentors. I'm telling you. So the coach of the coaches. So that's phenomenal. So Todd is just incredible. Growing tomatoes. The guy doesn't do anything small. He's like, I'm going to grow a couple tomatoes. No, I'm going to grow bushels of tomatoes. So much that they make gazpacho out of it. Whatever that is. Is that a cold soup? Yeah, that's a cold soup. Okay. Horatio. How do you gauge the repairs when wholesaling virtually? There is, what I want you to do is, after this, we're going to be done in a few minutes here. There is a video, the perfect offer video, and in the on this channel. And you're going to see there's a chart there breaking that down. You can also get that at ttpinsider.com. But there is a video on perfect offer presentation and the breakdown there on how to get to the right estimated rehab little chart. So that'll help you out. Yeah, awesome. Guys, just to let you know, next week we are not here. I am taking my lovely, beautiful, wonderful wife to Kauai. That is one of the islands that is the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful places on the planet. If you've not been to Kauai, I would definitely put it on your bucket list. It is worth it. But I will be gone next week, and then we'll pick up the following week. So, Johnny, on the dialer for an hour now, already locked up an appointment and still on the dialer as I watched the show. Just effing do the work. That simple. Here we go. He's got an appointment. I'm going to ring it anyway. Let's go. Johnny! Fantastic. That's fantastic. Johnny, keep it going, brother. That's great. It's funny how many people watch this as they're making their calls. I love it. I love it. They're like, pause, talk, or they just mute me. And it's just me going like this. It's great. Johnny, fantastic. Congratulations. Keep it going, brother. Let's get another 2 hours in today. Let's get it to 3, if not more, and really just pile it on. Foot to the gas. Yep. Awesome. Last question, then we will say our goodbyes. Lexi, what are some other ways to dispo a property besides using Facebook groups? Well, first of all, that is the last resort that I have. Lexi, what I want you to do is I want you to go to ttpinsider.com and download the Cash Buyer Pack. Cash Buyer Pack, absolutely for free. It'll give you all of the breakdown how to get the top 100 buyers, cash buyers in your marketplace. I am telling you. But just to give you some preview of that, I want you reaching out to any of the real estate agents that have a listing that is a flipped property. You know it's a flipped property because there's no clothes in the closets. There's nothing in the pantries. It's staged, it's beautiful, or it's vacant. I mean, you could look at the properties and you just see that they're vacant. And I want you to reach out to those agents and say, great job on that. One, to see if you guys are interested in doing another project in that neighborhood or market or area or whatever, city, town, anything. So community. So reach out to the real estate agents there. Also, I show you how to pull all the cash buyers off a prop stream in that, so that you can be able to pull them and reach out to those buyers and start adding them to your cash buyer database, and many, many other things. So make sure you get into TTP Insider, download that cash buyer pack, and you're going to be off and running, Lexi. Get that deal sold, baby. Yeah, get it sold. You got this. So get it out to as many people as possible and get as much out of that deal as possible. What do you think of that?
I love it, baby.
Enthusiasm 2 hours later. Come on. This is all day, baby. This is all day, all natural. No performance enhancing. This is no, I did have a 5-hour energy this morning. So, extreme. So, there you go. But that was hours ago. Anyway, I love you guys. Everybody come on in. Come on in. Guys, it takes a village to put on this show. Matt figured out what was going on with Todd. That's fantastic. And he figures out all this. So Matt, Jesse, Daniel, and Mike, there you go. Absolutely. Thank you guys. You guys are the best. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, not next week, the following week. So join us, and in that time, make sure that you're taking action, building up your pipeline of leads, following up with those leads, and getting the contract signed. You got this. I love you. Till next time. See ya.